part 2 because something else occurs while we're trying to solve these. So let's go do the warm-up. Now this should say equals, that is a typo. And we're going to solve these radicals by factoring, or at least that's what we're going to try first. That's kind of our first method to solving. And when you factor, you always look for the greatest common factor. And the greatest common factor in the situation is x. We factor it out, and we get x and x minus 5. And if we remember, we set x equal to 0 and this equal to 0, and we solve. Well, one answer is x equals 0 because it's solved, and the other one's 5. Okay? All right, so if you look at this one, it says x squared equals. Well, the x squared needs to be positive. We need to move everything over because you need to set it equal to 0. So since you have negative 2x, you're going to add that over. Since you have positive 63, you're going to subtract that over. And you're going to find the factors of 63 that get you 2. Because we're going to go ahead and factor that. So 63, 1 and 63, 3 and 21. Now we're trying to get to a 2, so this is not even close to what we need yet. 63 is not divisible by 4 or 5 or 6. And 7 is our winner. Because it's between 7 and 9 you can get 2. So you'd have x plus 9 and x minus 7. And remember, the reason we have that is because a negative times a positive is a negative, and 9 plus negative 7 is 2. We'd set that equal to each other. If you have x plus, or equal to 0, sorry. If x plus 9, that'll give you negative 9. And if you have x minus 7 equal to 0, that gets you 7, because you're going to add that over. So those are your 2 answers. Alright, I'm going to do these 2 examples and then split up the video, and we are going to check our answers to see if we get extraneous solutions. Hopefully, I just probably butchered the spelling of this. Spelling, question mark. Hopefully you remember that. Alright, so we need to get rid of this radical, so we're going to square both sides. That is going to result in p squared equals 2p. And that's actually going to look a lot like our warm-up problem, because we need to set it equal to 0, so we're going to subtract the 2p over, and we're going to factor it. And it should look a lot like this first example, because we're going to factor by the greatest common factor. And the greatest common factor they have is p, leaving you with p minus 2 equals 0. Now you would set that p equal to 0, which is just 0, and then the p minus 2, I'm just writing it this way because I ran out of room, which would give you 2. And so here's the issue though. You have to check 2 answers. So we're going to do this real quick. I'm going to just make a line to separate some of my work. Okay, so first we're going to check 0, so p equaling to 0. We always plug it into the original. So it'll be 0 equals the square root of 2 times 0. Well, we know 0 times anything is 0, and the square root of 0 is 0. So it works. And then the next one we're going to do is p equals 2. And plug that in. So you have 2 equals the square root of 2 times 2, because p is 2. That's 4, and the square root of 4 is 2. So we're good. Okay, next problem. Alright, so we have to square both sides to get rid of that square root. And kind of like example number 2, you need to solve for x. So to do that, you're going to add this over and subtract this over. So we're doing that the other side, I'm just not writing it. And the reason we're doing this is we need to set it equal to 0 to solve. And we want to keep this x squared positive. Okay, so we have to find the factors of 42 that give us 1. 3 and 14 work. 42 divided by 4 won't work, or 5, so 6, and that's 7. And hopefully you already have that in your head. And it'd be x plus 7 and x minus 6. Negative number, positive and negative get you that, and a positive number, the bigger factor needs to be it. So we have x plus 7 equaling 0, which we know that's negative 7. So that's one answer. And then you gotta take x minus 6 equal to 0, and you add the 6 over, which gets you 6. So that's the other possible answer. And we check it. So we'd have 42 minus negative 7. Well, 42 minus negative 7 is just adding 7. So that's 49. So we have the square root of 49 equals 7. And we know the square root of 49 is 7, so this works out. On this one, you'd have 42 minus 6. We're going to do some mental math, which gives us 36. And the square root of 36 happens to equal 6. So we're good. All right, that's the end of the first video. I'm going to have another chunk with the rest of the examples. See you there.